Chapter 21. Avoiding the hired valets, Alannah parked her car on the grounds of the palatial estate belonging to Josh and Ingrid Baker. Their birthday celebration was an annual event, and not to be missed. The couple had married in their early 20s and remained two of the most entertaining of Trenton and Alannah's friends. Their parties were extravagant, legendary affairs that took months of planning for which they spared no expense. Or at least Ingrid didn't. Josh, a nerdy software developer with red hair and glasses, who'd rather sit in front of a computer than entertain a horde of guests, went along for the ride. He couldn't resist Ingrid and anything she requested. Alannah didn't plan to stay at the party long, only long enough to wish the couple a happy 30th birthday and see if Trenton was around. She just wanted to catch a glimpse of him, maybe say hi, and show him that she was doing fine, even though he hadn't called. With her heart fluttering lightly, Alannah exited the car and smoothed the ivory skirt of her cocktail dress. The top half was black with beaded detailing, and she'd played it safe tonight and worn 3-inch heels. She nodded as she walked past the doorman, who swung open the door as she approached. The grand foyer was a cavernous space with black and white Italian tile covering the floor, and 2 staircases curved toward each other as they wound their way to the second level. A female server dressed in a white shirt and black slacks floated over to her, holding a tray of glasses filled with multicolored beverages. All of them looked yummy, garnished with pineapples, cherries, and olives. "Ma'am, would you like a drink?" she asked. "No, thank you." Since she was driving, Alannah had decided not to imbibe at all tonight. "Oh, where are Ingrid and Josh? The last time I saw them, they were in the kitchen. Do you know where that is?" "Yes, I can find my way. Thanks." Alannah spotted a silver box in the corner on a pedestal. Ingrid and Josh didn't accept gifts for their birthdays. Instead, they requested donations to their favorite charity, so she dropped the envelope-enclosed check she'd brought into the box and went in search of the hosts. As the server had mentioned, she found them in the large, sparkling kitchen, surrounded by friends. Ingrid wore a sleeveless cream-colored dress that brushed the tile when she moved. The round neckline showed a hint of cafe au lait breasts that looked suspiciously like they'd been contoured with makeup, and her short natural was colored a dark wine. In a word, Ingrid was striking. Apparently, Alannah was striking as well. Ingrid did a double-take when she saw her and gasped, "Alannah!" She placed her drink on the counter and floated over, mouth agape. "Turn around! Let me see you!" Alannah did a quick, self-conscious twirl. She'd grown comfortable with her new look and had forgotten there were people who hadn't seen her yet. Ingrid cupped her own cheeks. "Oh my goodness, look at you. I barely recognize you. You're gorgeous," she gushed. Blushing, Alannah tucked her hair behind her ear. "Thanks." But she couldn't help but wonder, how bad had she looked before? "Josh, look at her." Ingrid beckoned to her husband by waving her hand. He frowned over at them from behind his spectacles. "It's Alannah, honey," Ingrid said. "Oh, wow," Josh said, his gaze sweeping the length of Alannah's body. "Hey now," Ingrid chided her husband, laughing. Other guests turned in their direction, which made Alannah even more self-conscious. She could feel the heat spreading downward into her neck, and she smiled politely and thanked the few people who immediately complimented her on the new look. Ingrid put one hand on her hip. "Trenton didn't even warn me about you." "Oh, he's here already?" She kept her voice casual, but the pace of her heart increased. Ingrid nodded. "Saw him earlier. Don't know where he is now, though. He could be anywhere, maybe out at the gazebo, somewhere holding court with his many admirers." Ingrid winked and nudged her. Alannah smiled weakly, her stomach spiraling into a sickening plunge. Although Trenton had never left her stranded at a party, her attendance had never stopped him from getting a quickie from one or more of the female guests. Ingrid had no concept of how much devastation her little joke caused, a joke that 3 months ago wouldn't have mattered as much, but after last weekend, it cut with the sharpness of a dagger, and all the way to her heart. "I'll see if I can find him," Alannah said. "When you're done, come back. We need to talk about all this." Ingrid waved a manicured hand from the top of Alannah's head to her feet. "I will." Over the years, She'd attended many parties with Trenton. If for some reason they didn't go together and she arrived before he did, their friends always looked past her, searching for him. When they accepted she was alone, they'd ask if he was coming. When he did arrive, the excitement levels kicked up several notches. She'd seen him get this type of reception for years. Even during their school days, a party didn't start until he showed up, so she was certain that wherever he was, he'd be surrounded by people hanging on his every word. Alannah started her search outside in the back, where guests congregated in the shadows, men and women flirting and chatting and whispering to each other. None of them were Trenton. She continued to walk through the house, hovering in the doorways and searching the faces of the guests. In each room she saw well-dressed men and women reclined in the plush chairs, drinking and eating. Still no Trenton anywhere. She'd just about given up and was headed back to the kitchen when the bathroom door in the hallway opened. Trenton came out, adjusting his clothes. Despite herself, her heart leapt. She could barely contain her happiness at seeing him. "Trent." A small, hesitant smile hovered at the corners of her mouth. But he didn't look at all pleased to see her. He froze, an expression of shock and guilt filling his face. At first she thought the guilt was because he hadn't reached out to her since they'd had sex, and she opened her mouth to tell him it was okay, that she forgave him. But movement in the bathroom caught her eye, and what she saw inside dealt her heart a crushing blow. He hadn't been alone in there. As the door eased closed, she caught a glimpse of Beth, the girl he'd taken to Las Vegas, applying a fresh coat of lipstick to puckered lips. Her long weave of black, shiny curls cascaded down her back to her waistline, and the skimpy black tube dress she wore emphasized every curve of her voluptuous body. Alannah couldn't move, couldn't speak. Pain seized her vocal cords, and the walls in the small space they occupied seemed to close in and make it hard to breathe. "Alannah." Slowly, her gaze drifted to Trenton. Contrition filled his eyes, but the moment wasn't over. Beth exited the bathroom and almost ran into him because he was still standing in the doorway. "Oh, excuse me." She looked from one to the other and smiled. "See you later, Trent." She snapped her clutch closed and blew him a kiss. Then she walked away, clearly adding an extra switch to her hips for his benefit. "Alannah, I can explain." "You pig." She wouldn't cry. She would not cry. Alannah stormed down the hallway and rushed toward the door. "Alannah, wait! Please!" She pushed out of the door and into the night, taking firm, hard steps that propelled her out to the yard. "Good night, ma'am," the doorman called. A horrible, twisted joke because there was absolutely nothing good about the night now. She shouldn't have come. She just wanted to see him but hadn't expected this. She knew his MO better than anyone else and had seen him break hearts all his life. Why did she think he'd treat her any differently? "It didn't mean anything. I was just—" Almost to the car, Alannah swung around on him. "You were just what?" "Say it." He remained silent. "Say it." "I'm not going to say that." "Say it. Be man enough to say what you were doing." He looked away from her, his face hidden in the shadows cast by the ground lights against the bushes and trees. "It was nothing, Lana," he said quietly. "I let her blow me. That's all. It's not a big deal. I just needed to get the edge off. But I didn't even come." "You didn't come. Poor baby." "You really think that makes it okay?" she asked in a tremulous whisper. "You know what? I don't care what you do. It's your penis. Do whatever you want with it. Stick it in the mouth of anybody you want." Her chest hurt, a deep, ingrained ache she knew wouldn't leave any time soon. He stayed quiet, so she kept talking. "If you want to get your dick sucked by Betty Blowjob and all her pals, that's up to you. I really don't care." Betty Blowjob. She didn't even know where that ridiculous name had come from. Trenton finally looked at her, and in the dim light she saw concern in the wrinkling of his brow and the tight set of his jaw. "I don't care about a blowjob." "No? You sure don't act like it. Baby. No! She shoved a finger in his face. Don't you call me baby! Don't you dare! Her voice went up 10 octaves. The scenery grew hazy as she teared up. Heat filled her face, and she knew her skin was mottled red from the combination of anger and trying not to cry. I'm not one of your jump-offs! I never said you were. He looked and sounded very sorry. I'm better than that. Her voice cracked. You know I am. She had to be. They'd known each other for 22 years. She had to mean more to him than just sex. Alannah. Shit. He clutched his head. I messed up. Don't go. Let's go somewhere and talk. I do not want to talk to you. I do not want to see you. She swirled away from him again and continued the march to her Lexus, the car he had bought, which made her want to cry even more. Wait! Please, Alannah, don't go! Talk to me! He caught her arm, but she yanked away and shoved him. He hardly moved, which made her even angrier. She wanted to push him so hard he fell to the ground. She wanted to hurt him, the way he'd hurt her. He needed to suffer. Her fingers curled into angry fists. I hate you, Trenton, she said in a broken voice. He flinched, as if she dealt him a physical blow. She shook with the anger and pain that filled her, and tears welled up and fell onto her cheeks. She didn't care any more if he saw. He needed to see that he'd done a horrible, terrible thing. I hate you. Slowly she backed away. He didn't follow this time, but he continued to stare at her. The further away she backed, the harder it was to see his face against the backdrop of lights. Alannah swiped a hand across her cheeks and spun toward the car. She unlocked it, jumped in, and started the engine right away. Sniffling, she slammed the accelerator and drove off, not looking back at him. She turned a hard right out of the iron gates and onto the main road, but didn't get far. The tears streaming down her cheeks made it difficult to see, so she had to pull over onto the shoulder. She shoved the car into park and switched on the hazard lights. Sobbing, she hugged the steering wheel and pressed her wet cheeks against her arms. The only explanation for such gut-wrenching pain was that her heart must have been torn completely in two. Her shoulders heaved from the severity of her sobs, and Alannah cried, and cried, and cried. Chapter 22. Are we boring you? Cyrus's voice pulled Trenton into the present. What? He said. Are we boring you? Cyrus asked again. Ivy, across from him, arched a brow. They were seated in the small conference room adjacent to Cyrus's office. No, you're not boring me, Trenton said. Then please give me the most recent reports on the racial demographics of our customers. I'm particularly interested in seeing if the target marketing to the Latino community has expanded penetration in specific pockets around the country. Cyrus held out his hand. Trenton shuffled through the stack of papers in front of him. He saw Ivy's data on the restaurant group and the figures Cyrus had dispersed about the overall health of the company. I must have left them in my office, he mumbled. He could feel his cheeks turning red. Normally, he was better prepared than this. From the corner of his eye, he saw Cyrus and Ivy look at each other. In that case, there's nothing further to discuss, Cyrus said, sounding annoyed. Our meeting is adjourned. The three of them rose from the chairs, and Trenton filed out behind his siblings. Halfway across the floor of Cyrus's office, he realized he'd left his siblings' reports in the small conference room. No point in going back and highlighting his absent-mindedness. It was better to leave, but luck was not with him. Hang on a minute, Trent, Cyrus said. He groaned inwardly. Ivy sent him a look of pity over her shoulder before she exited. Taking a deep breath, Trenton turned to face his brother, now standing behind his immense desk, the Seattle skyline spread out like a giant photo behind his back. What's going on? Cyrus asked. Trenton affected a frown of confusion. Nothing. I'm human and sometimes I make mistakes. I'm having a bad day, that's all. You're having a bad week. Cyrus dropped the stack of reports on his desk. Trenton stiffened. What? You're having a bad week. I heard you the first time, Trenton bit out. Then why did you ask me what I said? I'm not in the mood for this. He didn't want to be picked apart. I've got a lot on my mind, okay? They stared at each other in silence. Have a seat. Cyrus waved toward one of the guest chairs in front of him. Trenton didn't move. Have a seat. Reluctantly, Trenton trudged over to the chair and sat down. He gritted his teeth and prepared for the berating his brother was about to dish out. Cyrus sank into his executive chair and crossed his legs. You slept with her. Startled, Trenton's head reared back. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. You slept with Alannah. And I know because she abruptly canceled on our 4th of July lake party. I can't remember the last time Alannah didn't go out on the boat with us for the 4th. She canceled by text. To Mother, of all people, and without explanation, which is very unlike her. It was obvious when you showed up you had no idea she wouldn't be there, and it's also very obvious how screwed up in the head you are. He let his observation sink in before he continued. I told you not to sleep with her. You did it anyway, and now everything's a mess. Trenton fisted his hands on the arms of the chair. God damn it, Cyrus! Does it really make you feel good to say I told you so right now? Believe me, I wish I were wrong. You have no idea what a burden it is being right all the time. Unbelievable. When one corner of Cyrus's mouth pulled a fraction higher, Trenton relaxed. You're such an asshole. The smile stretched to the other side of Cyrus's mouth. What happened? Trenton stood from the chair, suddenly feeling restless. Like you said, I slept with her, and now I'm all screwed up. He ran both hands over his head and down his face. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. It took a lot to admit that. He walked back and forth across the carpet. Cyrus didn't say a word, just watched his movements. Trenton needed to fill the void of silence, so he kept talking. You want to know the best part? He came closer and rested his hand on his brother's desk, careful not to disturb the meticulously laid out pens along the edge. She was the best sex I ever had. I've slept with countless women, but Lana, she was the best I ever had. Can you believe it? You'd think I never had any ass before. Trenton pushed away from his brother's desk. What's wrong with me? I know that was a rhetorical question, but I have an answer. You're in love with... Trenton reared back even further. No way, no fucking way. In love? What am I, a chick who catches feelings after some good dick? No, hell no. He shook his head to emphasize the point. I'm not saying you fell in love with her because of great sex. I'm saying... Shut up, Cyrus. He pointed a finger at his brother. You don't know what you're talking about. I know you think you know everything and think you're always right, but this time you're dead wrong. Cyrus lifted his hands in mock surrender. Okay, I'm not going to push it. Because you're obviously not ready to accept the truth. No, you're wrong. Okay, whatever. But you still have a problem, and it's causing you to be distracted. Trenton sighed heavily. Yeah, the problem is she won't talk to me. She wouldn't even return his text. He went by her house once and rang the doorbell. He heard Angel barking like crazy on the inside, but Alannah never came to the door. When he tried to use his key, he couldn't get in. She'd changed the locks. Why won't she talk to you? I did something stupid. Cyrus raised a brow, as if to silently say that was not unusual. Trenton rolled his eyes at his brother's judgment and kept talking. I'm not telling you what I did, but I have to figure out how to get through to her. She's special to me, and I want... He swallowed. I want her back. He didn't even know why he'd behaved the way he did, why he'd run, why he'd hooked up with Beth. All he did know was that he couldn't lose Alannah. She'd been such an important part of his life for so long, he couldn't imagine never having that camaraderie again. He'd never had it with anyone else. Didn't want it with anyone else. You want her back on your terms, Cyrus said. What's that supposed to mean? You say she's special, but I'm willing to bet you treated her like every other woman you've ever slept with. He'd been having sex since he was 13 years old. How was he supposed to reverse that many years of the same behavior? Cyrus went into lecture mode. You know her probably better than anyone else. Think about your relationship. Think of it as a sales and marketing project. How do you normally tackle issues regarding new demographics or increasing sales? You look at the research, and you have plenty of it. You have over 20 years of information and data you could mine to figure out how to get through to her. Use what you know. That's how you'll get her back. That's how you'll convince her that she's special to you. Trenton nodded and saw the wisdom in his brother's words. You're right. He grinned, the heavy load of loss lifting somewhat from his shoulders. You're absolutely right. Excited, he rushed toward the door, energized by the prospect of winning Alannah over. He rubbed his hands together, his mind turning over the possibilities. He'd start slow, with something simple. Cyrus called out to him, and Trenton paused with his hand on the door. I know, I'll get those reports to you. Cyrus may have been helping him with a personal issue, but the bottom line was they had a business to run. He opened the door but paused to look over his shoulder. His brother was already back to work, writing notes in the pad on his desk. The times Trenton saw him truly relax were with his wife, Daniela. They'd recently reconciled after a long estrangement and were expecting their first child. The entire family agreed that she was good for him. She worked hard, too, but she made Cyrus slow down. With a baby on the way, he imagined his brother would slow down even more. It was no secret how much he looked forward to fatherhood, and Trenton was pretty sure he'd be good at it, like he was everything else. Hey, Cyrus. His brother looked up, a frown on his forehead from being in deep thought. Thanks. Cyrus waved his hand dismissively and returned his attention to his notes. Trenton smiled and closed the door on his way out.